I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Everyone,
Next.
this is Jeff. I
Oh.
joined late. I'm sorry. I got stuck in traffic. Apologize for being late.
Thank you, Jeff. Arvind, what happens now?
Mr. Crum can take over.
All right. Did Manny fill in for me while I was?
You did.
I did. I did the hard part, so you're next. You're welcome.
The salute to the flag is always tricky when you do it alone, so thank you.
It is, don't want to mess that part up.
Yeah. All right. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're well. Next on our agenda, we have the minutes from the board's February 8th, 2021 meeting, as well as the March 8th, 2021 meeting.
All right. Mr. Chair, starting with the February 8th minutes, eligible voters who are present here tonight are Yelitssa Checo, Suzanne Sikora Ludwig, Chris Delatella, Ryan Berger, Diana Lopez, and Bob Cartica.
I'll move the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Yelitssa Checo,
Yes.
Suzanne Sikora Ludwig,
Yes.
Chris Delatella,
Yes.
Ryan Berger,
Yes.
Diana Lopez, Bob
Yes.
Cartica.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, and for the March minutes, eligible voters who are present here tonight are Yelitssa Checo, Ryan Berger, Diana Lopez, Bob Cartica, Manuel Castañeda, and Jeff Crum.
I move to approve the
A
minutes.
motion to approve.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to think who got first.
I wasn't first. Go ahead.
I was first.
So
Manny.
Was that Manny?
Yes.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
second Bob Cartica.
All right, thank you. Yelitssa Checo,
Yes.
Ryan Berger, Diana Lopez, Bob
Yes.
Cartica,
Yes.
Manuel Castañeda,
Yes.
Jeff Crum.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Tonight we have two public hearings. Both are amendments to existing redevelopment plans. The first one is going to be amendment to the Jersey Handy redevelopment plan. Dan, should I turn it back to you for a presentation?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. It kind of cut out there. I didn't catch your last couple of sentences.
Oh, I just asked if I should turn this meeting back to you for the presentation on the amendment to the redevelopment plan.
Yes, that would be nice.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll swear in Mr. Dominguez to provide us testimony.
That
Mr.
would be great.
Dominguez,
Thank
do you swear or affirm the testimony you shall give this board regarding this matter shall be the truth and the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Chairman, the witness has been sworn.
Thank you. Dan, you can proceed.
All right, thank you. So thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Tonight we have on two redevelopment plan amendments. Well, several small amendments to two redevelopment plans. First, we'd start off with the amendments to the Jersey Handy redevelopment plan. Hopefully, everyone was able to see the plan and the memo on the website as part of the packet for the meeting. So the situation with this redevelopment plan area, this is Jersey Handy. You might recall this is where the Walgreens is, where the future school was approved to go, etc. There is a block within the redevelopment plan area between Delavan Street and Sanford Street, and I guess sandwiched between Jersey Avenue and the railroad tracks. This parcel was, well, it is in the underlying zone C2B, which is a type of community commercial office that encourages sort of mixed use, relatively dense development, the type you would normally see along Jersey, French, and looking at the map, some of the other commercial corridors, South George Street, etc. But the redevelopment plan, when it was created some 20 years ago-ish, had carved out that block for light industrial. Given that we have a redevelopment plan up the street for mid-rise residential, and the school would be going conceivably right next to this site, the main goal here is to create a new overlay zone here, the C2, I believe the C2BC, or I may be, there's too many letters, C2BR, sorry. And so what it would be is essentially the underlying zoning with a little bit of an increase in the allowable floor area, slight increased building height, encouragement to develop parking beneath ground, and because it's a redevelopment plan, you have an increased lot size over the underlying zoning because you want them to have significant land assemblage for the development of projects here. And furthermore, there was a change to the parking requirements to allow for what I guess we would call shared parking arrangement to ensure that projects can be adequately parked, but also that residential and non-residential uses can share parking spaces, as certain uses will not be in use when people are home. And it kind of defeats the purpose of having a well developed and planned out city if you have to have seas of parking lots to meet the use of all of our uses. So those are the big changes to the redevelopment plan for the Jersey Handy area. At this point, I would I guess open it up to questions. I don't think that there's much more to add for that plan.
Thanks, Dan. Do any board members have questions about the amendment or some of the proposed changes?
This is Bob Cartica. I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. It would be helpful if in the future, just a suggestion, that in addition to having an explanatory statement for these changes, that the actual text changes be shown in the draft, in the document. Because please don't interpret this as a lack of trust that, but it's pretty much impossible to, unless you have the previous document and share and look at them side by side, it's pretty much impossible to determine the actual changes that are made to the text of the plan. So just a suggestion for future plan amendments and such.
Thank you, Bob. We'll take that into consideration. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a good point, Bob. Thanks. Anyone else? Questions, comments, thoughts? All right, Dan, I think you could open it up to the public now for public comment.
Sure. Seeing that there are not that many people on the call tonight, I'm just going to open it up generally. Is there any member of the public who would wish to speak on this for up to 5 minutes? We will put you on a list of speakers, and then you will have your chance to ask questions. Anyone at all? Remember, press the little microphone to unmute yourself, or *6 if you're on the telephone and you have any questions.
Yes, hello, Charlie Cradaville here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing none? Mr. Cradaville, I mean, Arvind, it's probably more appropriate for you to swear him in, right? If I'm the one presenting the plan and whatnot.
Sure.
Could you?
Mr. Cradaville, if you could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, but the truth?
Yes, I do, sir.
And if you could just say your full name, spell your last name and your address.
Charlie Cradaville, Kratovil, and I live on Saddam Street here in New Brunswick.
Mr. Chairman, the witness has been sworn for comment or question.
Thank you. Charlie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a pretty serious concern here. So on page 4 of this proposed new plan, revising this redevelopment plan for the 3rd time since it was originally adopted in 2005, I see a reference at the top. And I want to make sure, can you hear me okay? I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my end.
I can reasonably hear you, although I do hear feedback.
Okay, good enough.
If
So
everyone could
at the
just
very
mute
top,
themselves. Sorry, Charlie. If everybody could just mute themselves so we could fully hear, that would be appreciated.
cool. So I'll continue. At the very top of page 4, we see here, quote, the New Brunswick Housing and Urban Development Authority, herein after referred to as the redevelopment agency, will, where required, acquire, purchase, eminent domain or otherwise, et cetera. However, if my memory serves me right, the City Council of New Brunswick adopted an ordinance O-06-2002, which rescinds the designation of the Housing Authority as the redevelopment entity for one of the areas involved with Lincoln Annex School. And I believe there was a similar ordinance for this redevelopment area, or actually, no, yeah, here, it says it right here, Jersey Handy. Are we talking about Jersey Handy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if my recollection serves me correct, that ordinance passed, and it is here on the agenda of the meetings in June of 2020, and I believe it passed unanimously, and you know, pretty sure the mayor signed it. I'm pretty sure the Middlesex County Improvement Authority is now the designated redevelopment entity for this redevelopment area. So this would be at minimum an error in the document we're looking at tonight. Am I? Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I mistaken, or is this not supposed to be the Housing Authority's purview anymore, based on decision of the council last summer?
My understanding is that decision of the council was a bit of a one-off, and that for future redevelopment projects, the Housing Authority would take its place once again as the designator of redevelopment projects in this and probably all or close to all zones.
Well,
So
I'll read the. Go ahead.
Yeah, Charlie, you bring up, potential, just making sure we're clear here. So the existing, if I understand this correctly, the Middlesex County Improvement Authority is currently the designated redeveloper appointee. Is that accurate? Is that Charlie, what you believe was approved by City Council?
Yeah, I'll just read the title of the ordinance. An ordinance to rescind the designation of the redevelopment entity from the New Brunswick Housing Authority to the Middlesex County Improvement Authority for the Jersey Handy redevelopment area and the Healthcare and Research Pavilion redevelopment plan. So I mean, it seems the whole area was covered by this change, and I don't see how without a subsequent action of the council, it could go back to the housing authority. You've already, the city's already taken that away, rescinded it. So
Right.
I don't know of any action since then that's restored it.
Well, Mr. Credible, the redevelopment plan is adopted by ordinance. And so I believe, and Mr. Ital can jump in here if he wants, but I would believe that by adopting this redevelopment plan, should the board, should the council act favorably, that they would be reaffirming and resetting up the housing authority as the redeveloper designator, the redevelopment authority, as you will.
Yeah, there would be, thank you, Dan. There would be an ordinance that the city council would have to enact, and that could see the change that you're discussing, or reversion.
Sure. Aravind, is there anything that we should do in this proposed amendment to just clarify that point, or do you think the existing text is sufficient to cover, of course, upon the council's approval?
I would suggest to the board, if they were to approve this tonight, that they should include a note indicating that they believe if the council missed this, and I doubt they did, that there may be a potential conflict between those two provisions. So the recommendation is made that the governing body would consider whether that conflict was intentional or unintentional.
Okay.
And Dan, you would include that with the letter.
Yes, of course.
Charlie, thanks for bringing that to our attention. It does seem like something we did need to clear up.
No problem. I'm here to help. My thought on this is also that it puts into question whether or not the MCIA is to remain in charge of the development of the school in this redevelopment area. What I think I'm hearing is that is already in motion, so that stays in motion, but somehow any other developments in this redevelopment area going forward would be the responsibility of the housing authority to, acquire the land and select the redeveloper, et cetera. But because this one is already, in motion, the MCIA would retain purview over that development project. And obviously, this is an important thing because we're talking about developing the public school that we all have been, so intently discussing over the past, year and a half. So where is the city going to land on that? Are you taking it back from the MCIA, or are they keeping it?
Mr. Cradville, I can't speak for the governing body, but my understanding is that the MCIA will be keeping that project, and that future subsequent projects in the zone will fall back to the housing authority.
Okay. All right. Well,
Again,
I'll
probably
look forward
just
to
a note to the
sorry, go ahead.
plan amendment. I think these are points, just because we know how the school project has come under, a lot of scrutiny, that we should probably be clear in the plan amendment on that point as well. Unless
Mr. Chairman,
Aaron feels differently.
with regards to Mr. Craddock's last question, I'm not as concerned because remember, this is an overlay zone and it does call out by lots of blocks, specific lots of blocks within that larger redevelopment area. The amendments that are being proposed would affect just those lots of blocks, not the entire redevelopment. Dan, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So I'm not as concerned about there being a likelihood for confusion on that front. However,
Okay.
I do take Mr. Craddock's point on the earlier confusion.
I believe that this is something we can include in the letter and then make a modification to the way that section is written to clarify the role that the MCIA has played in this redevelopment area and that the housing authority will play going forward.
I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I don't
Thank
think
you.
that's a problem when it goes to council.
Great.
Okay, so yeah, I'll look forward to further discussion on this at the governing body. And I guess, you know, another tangentially related concern is eminent domain. Of course, because the city chose to pass that ordinance and rescind the housing authority's role and hand it over to the MCIA, we're seeing the potential for the will of this board to be subverted by the MCIA asserting the powers of eminent domain and including those powers in their redevelopment agreements. And, you know, I've been bothering them about that. And their position is that they actually do have the power of eminent domain, even though the redevelopment plan didn't authorize it. And they may try to use it to take people's property to build that big parking deck that we fought about a few months ago. So I do see mentions of eminent domain in this respect. And, you know, I guess it's hard to say what's a, you know, what the best situation to be in is, whether the MCIA overseeing it or the NBHA overseeing it. You know, I've got my complaints about both of those entities and their work in redevelopment. But I do, you know, want to raise and put on the record concerns about eminent domain and eminent domain abuse. I feel like you know, that may be the real reason that the County Improvement Authority was brought into this. You know, even though you all made it very clear,
I know, like,
you know,
I just want to just put out there, you're like well over time, but like I'll just please just, you know, your thought.
Yeah.
You can just wrap up your thought.
I'll wrap it up. Yeah, I'm just concerned about eminent domain abuse, and I do see that you know, you're authorizing it here. So I want the board to be conscious about that and you know, reconsider that aspect of it. But those are the main points I wanted to make, and you know, appreciate being allowed to talk about them, and hope that they'll be discussed at future government meetings as well.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Mr. Credible. Just on that note, for what it's worth, if you'll go to the map under section 2, parcels to be acquired, that I believe that most of, if not all of that, at some point has been acquired and blighted at some point in the distant past, well before I was involved with anything here. But this section of the plan, this area of the plan had never been envisioned for any eminent domain usage. So this is pretty much like a strict overlay, just to change what it is to be more in line with the underlying zoning, and to not have anyone come in as a redeveloper and build in light industrial purposes between in an apartment building and a school. So that's really the goal of this amendment.
Thanks for clarifying, Dan.
Yeah. Mr. Crum, there are no other members of the public.
Great. So we'll turn it back to the board. Does anybody wish to make a motion on this amendment?
First, I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Chris.
Castañeda, I'll second.
And just on the, I think there's one clarifying item to include with the amendment, the proposed language that Arvind and Dan will work out, right, related to.
Yeah.
Okay. The redevelopment.
Clarification on the, yes, that won't be a problem.
Okay. So is it just Chris and Manny, is your proposal subject to that clarification?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
All right. Yelitssa Checo?
Yes.
Suzanne Sikora Ludwig?
Yes.
Priscilla Tella?
Yes.
Ryan Berger,
Yes.
Diana Lopez,
Yes.
Bob Cartica,
Yes.
George Shadid,
Yes.
Manuel Castañeda,
Yes.
Jeff Crum.
Yes.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Dan. And Dan, we're going to again turn this back to you. Our second public hearing is also an amendment to a redevelopment plan. This is amendment to the Sanford Remsen redevelopment plan.
All right. Thank you, board, once again for being here tonight for the for revisiting this redevelopment plan with me. This is the Sanford Remsen redevelopment plan. It encapsulates a decent bit of land between Remsen and George's Road, and somewhat framed out by Baker Park and and Sanford Street. This is if you go to the third page, you'll see that it's kind of a, I don't know if a blob is a technical term, but it's kind of a blob of a layout. Whenever that map was made was probably not the best tech right there. I don't think the blocks actually look like that in real life. But I digress. So there are two main functions of this redevelopment plan amendment. The first, if you'll go to page 10 and 11, is the change of portions of what was zoned 5A to 6A. It's kind of hard to see if your version's in black and white. My printout here is in black and white, but there's two parcels. Right now, they're being used for car repair and other forms of light industrial, maybe even heavy industrial use. And they are sort of the sandwich filling in surrounded by residential neighborhoods, and it's kind of having negative effects on those neighborhoods. This zone was a part of the redevelopment plan since pretty much the beginning, as far as I know, and but the underlying zone here for these parcels is R6, which is a zone that allows for the development of apartments. And so this would, since the rest of the redevelopment area here has been redeveloped with the townhomes in the Renaissance Station area, this is to nudge this section along by changing the uses to also allow for low, like 2, 3, 4-story apartments there. The floor area ratios are unchanged, so the amount of floor area that you could have before and after is no different. Just the options for what you can develop on the site would expand from single, twos, and townhomes to single families, 2 families, townhomes, garden apartments, low rise, and mid rises up to 40 feet. So basically a ceiling of maybe four stories tops at the same floor area and similar lot coverages and whatnot as the prior use. So that's really the change there, to kind of align it more with the underlying zone and hopefully move that that area forward. Then secondly is a modification to the MCR zone, the mixed commercial residential area. It's on page 14. That is on the first page. If you'll see on the cover sheet, it's that kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird shape over that abuts George's Road. That's also similarly kind of unused or underutilized and light to heavy industrial use currently. The plan had been adopted to convert that into mixed use residential. and the uses that are in the C2B, which is the underlying zone. So what this alters is it allows for most of the same bulks that are in that zone, same floor area ratios, impervious coverage. It has a greater lot size. Again, with redevelopment plans, you really want to try to encourage a large lot assemblages for big projects like this. And as a nudge forward, an increase on the height from 40 feet to 65 feet / 5 stories. This is sort of a recurring theme we've been seeing in some development is that a lot of the zones were designed with 40-foot or 50-foot heights to represent 4 and 5 story development, but a lot of modern construction ends up with 12, 13 feet per story because of what's between each story, the beams, all the mechanicals that go there. And so the bump up to 65 feet here from 40, even though it is a 25-foot increase, would also only really be a change of one theoretical story of the goal of the zone. And then additionally, same as the other plan, we've adopted, shared parking arrangement standards to similarly encourage developers to develop parking that is used by both the residential and non-residential uses, again, to minimize the amount of dead-end space on the lots. So those are the changes for the Sanford Remsen redevelopment plan.
Thank you, Dan. It seems like, for the most part, important changes that were oversight to some of the work that has changed over the past few decades and really helping to create better, more complete neighborhoods. So from my perspective, this makes a lot of sense. Any other feedback from the board, comments, questions? Hearing none, Dan, I think you can, again, open it up to the public.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak for 5 minutes on this redevelopment plan amendment? Anyone at all?
Yes, but Charlie Cradaville, can you hear me?
Yep, noted, Mr. Cradaville. Is there anyone else happens to be out there? *6 to unmute yourself, or the little microphone button. Anyone at all? Seeing none, list is closed. Mr. Chair, we have one speaker. It's Mr. Charlie Cradaville.
Very good. Thank you. Charlie, the floor is yours again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I noticed this redevelopment plan dates all the way back to 1988, being revisited now for the second time. If this passes, it would start another 30-year clock on the plan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Mr. Dominguez mentioned at a city council meeting this decision to revisit the plan comes in part because a developer has approached the city about it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and let me guess, is it the Edgewood Properties?
That's correct.
Okay, and can you tell me what their interest is here? I think they obviously own the Fulton Square, development that they built out, and then they're pursuing, and I think have already gotten some approvals from the Housing Authority for a, similar development. Is it that they want to build taller than they were allowed to build at Fulton Square, or were there other considerations? Can you enlighten us a little bit what they're, pushing for?
They, my understanding is that they're looking for a mixed-use development that encompasses the bulk of the, what do you call it? The MCR zone.
Okay. So between George's and Paul Robeson.
Let me grab the map. I think it's, yeah, between George's, Paul Robeson, and Lawrence. Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Right. And so mixed use, I had thought they were only going to do housing, but they want to do, you know, I guess retail or offices.
Yeah,
or
ground
what
floor
kind of,
commercial, ground floor commercial
Mhm.
with, I believe, 4 stories of residential above.
Okay. Do they intend for this to be a gated community like Fulton Square was supposed to be?
I'm not privy to any information regarding that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the answers to the questions. I'll just weigh in with my, you know, strong opinions about this particular developer. I think that Edgewood Properties has not followed through on many of the promises they've made to the city and its residents in a couple of different redevelopments, including Fulton Square. You know, I for one don't really think we need gated communities, or don't really, I'm not really inclined to support that. But regardless, they sold the residents there a bill of goods by telling them they were buying condominiums in what was going to be a gated community, and then they never really got the gates working, and have just left them wide open. So I don't think that's you know, a good outcome. Similarly, over on the other side of town with the Jersey Handy that you were just talking about, they have you know, a building there that's sitting empty. They're collecting rent from a bank that doesn't want to open up their bank that they rented, and so that property is just going to waste. And of course, they promised big things there: a supermarket, housing, all kinds of stuff that never came to pass. And now, you know, it's going to become a school, which is a good use. But I do, you know, I do feel that the developer really should not be able to get the city to just do what it wants. I think the planning board and the city should be looking at the needs of the neighborhood and the needs of the community, and you know, responding to that much more than they might respond to this out-of-town developer that's already, you know, kind of burned us. And so I don't like the idea of changing the redevelopment plan, locking it in for another 30 years, because this developer wants to change their plans again for a project that they haven't really delivered on. I just, you know, the way they do business rubs me the wrong way. And I think a lot of city residents agree that, you know, this company and their style of development is not really a good fit for our neighborhoods. And I'm concerned if, you know, we're changing the, you know, the redevelopment plans of the city, ordinances of the city to fit their needs and desires just based on their track record alone. So I would encourage you to be skeptical of their asks and see if the current redevelopment plan is maybe satisfactory, or if there's other types of changes to it that should be made other than the ones that the developer's pushing for. I don't think we should just, you know, bend over backwards for their wishes. But that's the gist of it. You got it. Thank you for you know, hearing me out.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Mr. Credible.
Your comments are noted.
Mr. Chair, there are no other speakers.
Very good. Again, you know, I think this is an important application. I look forward to taking a vote on it. You know, just to remind the board, we are voting on an amendment to the plan. There's no application before the board. I'm not even aware of, I'm personally not aware of any applicant. If an applicant does come forward, we would absolutely take their track record and experience into account to the level that we can as a planning board. But I think these changes really help kind of create continuity in that neighborhood. They help bridge the neighborhood close to Recreation Park and make it connect to the Fulton Square area. So I think from a general redevelopment standpoint, to me, this makes a lot of sense. And and, I would look forward to the vote. Anybody wish to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right. So just give me 1 second to grab
Chris,
my voting sheet. There it is. Sorry. All
so I'll
right.
second.
Chris, did you second?
That's correct.
Thank you. Yelitssa Checo,
Yes.
Suzanne Sikora Ludwig,
Yes.
Chris Delatella,
Yes.
Brian Berger,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Bob Cartica,
Yes.
George Shadid,
Yes.
Manuel Castañeda. Yes. Jeff.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our final item on the agenda tonight is just general other matters of interest to the public. Dan, do you want to open it up?
Yes, certainly. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak for 5 minutes for general public comment? Please announce yourself and we'll put you on a list of speakers. Anyone at all? Seeing none?
All right, very good. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Manny, I motion to adjourn.
All in
I'll
favor?
second.
Aye.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.